Hi, this is Kevin Conroy, and you're listening to the GeekCast Radio Network.
Beyond good, beyond evil, beyond your wildest imagination.
Children of the sun, see your time has just begun. Searching for your ways through adventures every day and night. With the condor in flight, with all your friends in tow, you search for the cities of gold. Wishing for the cities of gold. Someday we will find the cities of gold. Cities of gold. Cities of gold. Someday we will find the cities of gold.
Hello and welcome to the 40th episode of ToonCast Beyond, brought to you by the Geekcaster Radio Network and Audible.com. I'm your host, Steve Jan Mike, and joining me here in Season 2 for the first time is Optimus Solo. Hello.
Good day to the world and you and everybody else.
Yes.
I had to dust off my headset.
Ain't that the truth? We won't get into that.
You're lucky I'm on this show, though. I almost boycotted it.
You're lucky I'm even doing this cartoon after seeing 8.5 episodes of it. We are going to be jumping back into the DeLorean for the first Season 2 DeLorean Time episode, that being our heading set for 1986, technically 1982 if you want to count the Japanese version. We explore the mysterious cities of gold.
Yes.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, you're going to have to set this up.
Right.
Well, hold on. We need to put out a disclaimer here. I automatically can tell the listeners that I'm going to fall on one side of the fence and he's going to fall on the other, so...
Listen to me. Mysterious Cities of Gold, also known in some parts of the world as Esteban, Child of the Sun. It's much better as Mysterious Cities of Gold. MCOG is a Japanese-French animated series co-produced by DiC Entertainment and Studio Pierrot. It premiered back in Japan in 1982. Later was, other years, brought to other countries. It was 1986 when it was finally brought to the United States. Basically, the series follows the adventures of a young Spanish boy named Esteban, who joins a voyage to the New World in search of the lost cities of gold, much like all of the early explorers of America. And he's also searching for his father. And the French version has been edited to have different characterization and music, and that was the version that was subsequently redubbed and distributed to many different countries, including the United States. Interesting to know. Oh, we'll talk about that later. But basically, there's three main characters that we're going to be talking about, Esteban, Zia, and Tao, and it's all about their explorations as they're with this group of people that are searching for the mysterious cities of gold. Now, I will start with some of my memory, since I know you have none.
Yes, I have never, until, between you and TV's Mr. Neil and everybody else, I've heard of the title of this show. I've heard that, oh my god, the theme song is fucking amazing, which it so totally is not. It sounds like it sounds like an 80s version of the Backstreet Boys is what it sounds like, with a female choir in the background. No.
Widely known as one of the best theme songs ever.
Well, then people need to check their judgments.
No, you're the only person I've ever heard say anything bad about the song.
Like, the first time I heard it, I thought it was catchy, and of course we're jumping ahead here, but the first time I thought it was catchy, but after watching 8 episodes straight through on Netflix, I was like, fuck this theme song. This is the worst theme song ever.
Oh, it's epic every time.
But
you've never seen the show, you've never seen it before.
Yes, I have never, up to watching the first 8, and I'm just starting episode 9 on Netflix last night. Up to the recording of this show, I've only seen 8 episodes of this cartoon ever. I had never heard of it as a kid, never knew about it. 1986, I was too busy crying over Optimus Prime's death than to worry about a Christopher Columbus knockoff story.
This was, well, first of all, it has nothing to do with Christopher Columbus. If you wanted
They
to compare
mentioned
it
him
to
several times.
but if you were comparing it to an explorer, it would be more like,
It has nothing to do with him directly, but they do mention him several times.
be much more like Cortez or Pizarro or some of those guys. But anyway, my general memories come from, this was one of the earliest cartoons that I remember being aired on Nickelodeon back in the late 80s. Nickelodeon came about really popularized more so in the late 80s with a lot more live action stuff and game shows and stuff of that nature. But Mysterious Cities of Gold was one of the few cartoons that was on early on, and this was one of my earliest exposures to anime, first of all. I think if I wanted to think of all of my childhood, the only true, 100% anime type stuff that I watched was this, and there was a pair of religious cartoons called The Flying House and Superbook. And those were the three things that I remember being anime or in this style from my childhood. And I'm not saying there might not have been a few more that like I saw in passing, but these were the three that really like stuck with me and kind of caught my eyes. So it is something that goes against my normal
Viewing.
viewing choices as far as being anime. But it didn't bug me back then. And there was just something that I remember about this show. First of all, the theme song. It's always been one of my favorite theme songs, not just of cartoons, but one of my favorite theme songs of all TV history. When I ranked the 80s cartoons, I believe only Gummy Bears I had above this. But it's right on par with Gummy Bears, Mask, Heathcliff, and those as just completely epic cartoon theme songs. So that's one of the first things I remember about it. Second thing I remember about it was just something about the, obviously this sounds cliche because the title is Mysterious Cities of Gold, but there's just this aura of mystery about it and story about it that was not present in a lot of other 80s cartoons. There's an ongoing story, there's continuity, there is a little bit of more depth to it than there was a lot of cartoons of the day. So that kind of separated a little bit for me. Something about Cities of Gold just always has fascinated me, and explorers searching for that. And I thought it was kind of cool. Maybe it's the historian in me or whatever, or the kid. Even as a kid, I loved history. The historical tie-ins and little historical lessons at the end of the episodes I thought were cool as a kid. I just remember it wasn't one of my favorite cartoons as a kid. It wasn't something I ran home after school to watch. And it wasn't something that I watched all, 39 episodes of. It was something I caught from time to time and enjoyed. I wouldn't put it as like one of my favorite cartoons ever, but I do remember fondly watching it and enjoying it as a kid from time to time.
I will say right now, before we kind of, break it down and analyze it and all that stuff, I will say right now, from watching it, I actually watched the first 3 episodes, and then the rest of the time, the other five episodes to get up to episode 8, I actually had it on in the background and just listened to it. If something caught my ear, I would, pull up the Netflix window and rewind it and look at that scene. But this to me is kind of like what radio plays used to be. I prefer to hear it rather than see it. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a cartoon that I can actually watch. And like I said, I did actually physically watch the first 3, but the rest of the time it was just kind of like on in the background, but I was paying attention to it. It just doesn't catch me. Not at all.
You're a bastard.
I'm not saying it's oh my god, it's fucking evil, it's the worst thing ever. It just doesn't catch me. The animation style is not my thing. I didn't find out about anime until like 96, 97. So, anime wasn't my thing. And yes, before people start commenting on the website, oh, well, Thundercats was anime and Voltron was anime. Yes, I understand that. But the US versions of those cartoons had the 80s flair of that cartoon style versus what this is and what other animes are. Yes, I know Voltron and Thundercat. Well, I don't think Thundercats, but I know Voltron came from Go Line and all that other stuff. But this is just, as a 32-year-old adult, I just can't get into this.
You hurt my soul. No, I can understand why. I get it. I'm not trying to be silly. It's not for everybody. It's but there's just some little aesthetic things about it that I can appreciate, and that I don't know, like part of this.
I think my first problem with it was sorry to cut you off, but I think my first problem was with the very first episode when I was watching it. The entire friggin' town comes down on this kid. Esteban, make the sun come out, and the whole fucking town abuses this kid. I was like, oh my god, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I don't remember liking it for those first few episodes when they're not yet to the world.
Yeah, you like it for the voyage, for the search, and for all of that.
Yeah, it's more of when they get there, when Tao gets introduced, and when it's more of the kids' adventure, it's more kid-focused.
Right, yeah.
Than when you're dealing with the stupid stuff on the ship. And there's a few, I don't know, there's good things and bad things, but that's for a little bit later.
Yeah.
So I'll save those thoughts.
Let's get into the... I don't know who the fuck they are voice cast.
Okay, well, let me break this down for you. You usually have your voice casts that a lot of times travel together, work together, whether it be the same company, the same location, that they do a number of different cartoons together. Right. And this has a little bit of that, but unfortunately it's going to be a lot of cartoons that maybe people don't remember. And the cartoons that some of these voice actors from Mysterious Cities of Gold would be you'd be familiar with would be, you're not going to know this one, but The Adventures of the Little Koala.
Yeah.
A lot of them did The Adventures of the Little Koala, and a lot of them did The World of David the Gnome.
Okay.
Which I believe were all Nickelodeon shows. People like Richard Dumont and Walter Massey especially, A.J. Henderson. So those guys kind of did very little light work, but they were present in a few of those Nickelodeon shows. As far as the main cast, I don't really know them from anything. Esteban was voiced by Shiraz Adam. Zia, which is the main girl, Esteban's friend there, is Janice Chackelson. And Tao is Adrian Knight. So most people will not have heard of any of those people. But like A.J. Henderson, like I said, Walter Massey, Richard Dumont, they're doing more of the guest characters, the recurring characters, stuff like that.
Right, yeah.
And the main other characters to talk about besides the three kids would be Mendoza, who is kind of their protector on the voyage over. Sancho and Pedro kind of provide the comic relief. And then there's Captain Gaspard, who's kind of evil. And there's some other commanders and captains and this or that. But it mainly, once you finally get to the New World, revolves around those three kids. It's the Esteban, Zia, and Tao.
Yeah.
So, I didn't have necessarily a favorite character. To me, they were all equal. You don't necessarily have that annoying sidekick character in this show. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of nice.
I think all the kids are annoying, so...
Well, I don't necessarily find them annoying. What I do find annoying, and since we're kind of talking about voice acting, I can go with that, is this is not a perfect example of excellent dub work. Now, I don't mean that. I don't mean the actual voice actors. I mean the matching of the voices with the animation.
Right.
And so it looks smooth. It doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of times where it looks off, or it doesn't sound like that's coming out of the right person, or it's just minutely timed.
Or
something.
Yeah, the lip movements are completely off sometimes.
That's probably the part that throws you the most.
I think that's like, how a lot of movies in the 90s would make fun of that.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, when Wayne meets Cassandra's father in Wayne's World 2. Mm-hmm. That's the first when I noticed that animation glitch or that screw up in this show. That's the first thing I went to was that scene in Wayne's World 2.
That's probably why it's easier for you to listen than to watch it.
Yeah.
because of that little. It's just not excellent. It's not like super professionally done as far as, I mean, it's professionally done, but it's just not as good as what we're used to, or what probably, I assume. I don't watch a lot of stuff that's dubbed, so I don't have a lot of experience watching this type of stuff, but I'm assuming a lot of the dub work that other people watch is a better, higher quality dubbing than this.
Yeah, I don't know who is going to listen to this episode of ToonCast Beyond, but like if Proto Man, wants to comment on the episode post, or if Spada wants to comment on the episode post and let us know, hell, even though I don't like him, even TV's Mr. Neil, because he knows a lot of the anime and a lot of the, he's into a lot of that. So even if he wants to comment on this episode post and let us know about this Mysterious Cities of Gold.
I don't watch enough anime to know the quality of dubbing, because I'm just not a dubbing fan. I don't want to watch stuff that's dubbed, because to me it's impossible to make it look perfectly smooth and like it belongs, because it's not how it was, it's not how it was recorded. But and that's one reason why I don't like anime. So I don't know. So I can, if this is standard, maybe it is, but I have a feeling it's just a touch below standard.
Yeah.
And you said all the kids were annoying.
Maybe it's because of the voices, but because a lot of I think Tao out of the three is the one kid that has like not a baritone, but he's not all high up here.
It does
like
sound
this.
way deeper than you would expect looking at the picture of the character.
Right, but I mean, he sounds like an actual normal child versus Esteban, who sounds like he's a girl. And I just
the only one that bugged me was Pedro, because he looks like a monkey. I liked Mendoza. I liked some of the characters' looks, even though they're anime. I thought they looked aesthetically pleasing. The voices don't all fit the characters, like you said. Some of them sound either way too high or way too deep. But there's not like anybody that stands out that's just like, oh, I really love this character, or I really hate this character. They're all just kind of bland characters to me.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing to love about them. There's nothing to hate about them. I liked them, but I could see other people not liking them.
Let's move on to something else.
Okay. The main thing I want to go into behind the scenes is something I kind of had like a holy shit moment the other day when I was doing research for this.
Okay.
And this is not, I can't confirm this 100% because the internet is full of false information and, stuff that's not factual.
Mm-hmm.
But the theme song, now obviously, when it got back to the US, when it was time to like make that part of the Western version or whatever, they redid the music and changed it because they didn't necessarily like what was going on with the other ones.
Yeah.
So Saban and Haim Saban and Shuki Levy kind of redid it a little bit. They wanted it to feel more adventurous, more like Indiana Jones like.
Right.
So they have this. I didn't know this. We've talked about Saban and Levy a lot because obviously they were a pair and they did a lot of shows together.
Yeah, they did a lot of shows together. They also did a lot of music together as well for other shows that weren't their productions. Because was this a Saban production? I don't think it was.
This is a Deke, but
right. It was a Deke, but it wasn't like Saban Brands or Saban Entertainment or
they
else.
had to do with the music.
Right. Yeah.
But what I didn't realize is that there was a third person that was often accompanied that often accompanied them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a guy by the name of, and I don't know if I'm saying this right, but it's Noam Kaniel, Noamkaniel.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he came with them to the States whenever because they're not obviously originally United States citizens, I believe.
Yeah.
This Noam guy was from Israel, and I assume the other guys were either from Israel or something like that. So they all came over together. But the Noam guy is the guy that, according to my information, performed the song.
Right. Yes. Just to go back here, Saban himself was born. He was born in Alexandretta, Egypt. So
they're obviously not Native Americans. Yeah. Native
to America.
Okay. So I found out that he sung or performed, I assume it's his voice then too, the song for the Mysterious Cities of Gold. Well, I did some research then,
Mm-hmm.
and my mind was almost blown. Because unless this research is just blowing smoke up my ass, he also performed the theme song for Heathcliff and Mask.
We're gonna need confirmation on this, on this, listeners.
If that is true, this guy has performed 3 of the greatest cartoon theme songs in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Because that's just ridiculous. Like, we're not just talking about theme songs here. We're talking about Mysterious Cities of Gold, Heathcliff, and Mask,
Yeah.
which have kick-ass theme songs. I even read somewhere where he has some type of connection with the He-Man theme song. I don't know if that's true or not. They said he that Gnome together with Lou Scheimer and his daughter actually recorded "I Have the Power,"
Right.
title song from the 1985 series pilot "The Secret of the Sword." So this guy might have been just a freaking genius here.
Well, I know that, to go off on a tangent here, as we often do, I do know that Erica Scheimer did the female vocals on, God, that stupid song.
Another.
It's not. Is it? I Have the Power. I don't remember the.
Says
Yes, the song from Secret of the Sword.
Yeah, I Have the Power.
God, I should know this because I love that fucking movie. But I know that she is the female vocals on that. I'm not sure if she also in turn does the male vocals because I know that she has done some of male vocal stuff. I don't know if it's Lou that does the
According to my information, this Gnome guy did the male vocals. Now,
male vocal.
even
Okay.
went back and listened very carefully to Mask, Heathcliff, and Mysterious Cities of Gold theme songs, really listening to the voice, and it sounds feasible that that could be the same person. So that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, that would be kind of ridiculous.
My mind was blown when I saw the possibility that that is actually the case there. He's also got a lot of other credits, including some that you might like here. Credits for possibly the X-Men, one of the theme songs from one of the X-Men series. One of the theme songs for, what was the other one that I thought you might... Oh, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. One of the... I don't remember which version of that.
It was... Well, no, okay, the Power... Oh boy, we are getting into all kinds of fandom rage here. Oh, good lord. God, I hope to God no one listens to this episode. But the Power Ranger stuff was done... The early stuff was done by Ron Wasserman as far as vocals go.
We're talking about Power Rangers Samurai.
Power Rangers Samurai, I think that's Wasserman as well.
He's credited for the theme and the original score.
For Samurai?
For Power Rangers Samurai 2011?
Okay, that might be true.
Okay.
I don't know. As far as the original Power Ranger stuff, I know that the first three, the original theme song from the first seasons of Mighty Morphin, that was all Ron Wasserman.
No. I'm talking about the...
okay, so you're talking about Power Ranger Samurai. Yeah, it's entirely possible.
Also got credits here for 1979 Incredible Hulk, 1979 Spider-Man, 1979 Superman, 1980 Fantastic Four. So I don't know. He might have had a lot more other stuff that I don't even know about. But anyways, this guy's worth noting as apparently a genius when it comes to being lucky enough to perform some great theme songs. So that was what I wanted to bring up as far as behind the scenes stuff. There's a couple other things real quick. Besides musical stuff, was just... And you'd have to be a super fan of this show to really probably know any of this stuff, but there is some changes, obviously, between the versions. The Eastern, I guess you can call it the Eastern version and the Western version. Characterizations, musical stuff, dialogue, obviously. So if you were a nut about it, I guess you could really break it down, but we're not going to do that.
No.
I can't believe you said you hope nobody listens to this episode.
Well, because we're getting into a lot of, oh my God, these guys are so, I bet we're going to get something. Oh my God, these guys are so fucking wrong. This guy didn't do this guy didn't do that. So,
I said it could be wrong.
yeah. I mean, we did say that, but it's like,
Was my mind.
we don't know. Yeah, it blows our mind.
It is the 16th century. From all over Europe, great ships sail west to conquer the new world, the Americas. The men eager to seek their fortune, to find new adventures in new lands. They long to cross uncharted seas and discover unknown countries, to find secret gold on a mountain trail high in the Andes. They dream of following the path of the setting sun that leads to El Dorado and the mysterious cities of gold.
All right, so you just heard the opening narration. That's another thing that I like about this show. I think it really did a good job amping up the show as the narration and the theme song intermix there and then lead you to the actual episode. I always got pumped up to watch the whatever the episode was based on this opening narration and theme song. I know some people might not like it, but for me, just that whole thing and the way the music starts as the opening narration is going at the end there is cool to me when they talk about going to El Dorado and the mysterious cities of gold. It's just, it has an epic tone to it for me. Mm. I don't know what your feelings was about.
Okay. This is, and I know this is jumping ahead, but since we are talking about the opening narration, I did like the opening narration. I think it built it up to a point where it's like, how can the actual show live up to that narration? For me, because as I said before, when I saw it, I'm like, okay, this is...
And whoever does that narration has an epic voice.
Yeah, they do. They do. So why don't you get into the overall plot or the overall genesis of the show or whatever we're talking about here in the actual show piece?
Well, like I said, this obviously this show has a little bit more continuity than you're used to with a lot of cartoons of the time. There is a lot of story. There's character depth here, and the main plot here is that the Spanish orphan Esteban joins Mendoza, who is the navigator, more the adult figure, in their search for the Seven Cities of Gold. So he gets on the boat. He's not supposed to be found. Him and Zia, an Incan girl, not supposed to be known, not supposed to be found. They're discovered on the boat. They're tried to, the attempts are made to throw them off of the boat. But Mendoza is able to persuade them to keep them aboard. There's an aura of something special, a mysterious, something special about these kids. Esteban is known as the child of the sun, and this Incan girl is supposed to have some type of secrets to how to get to the cities of gold. So there is some early on inklings that there's something special or significant about these kids. They're not just your ordinary Joe Blow kid. So then it basically goes to the voyage over from Europe to the Americas. And then once they get there, obviously the search begins for the cities of gold. They run into Tao, who is supposed to be the last descendant of the sunken empire of Mu, or Hiva. So then, I don't want to get into a lot of it because maybe there's somebody that's interested in watching it and wants to discover the bits of the story. But the rest of it outlines their search for the cities of gold and all the different things that come about as they search for it. I don't want to give away the ending.
The Olmecs. It reminds me of Olmec from Legends of the Hidden Temple.
That other stuff.
All right.
It's like taking on one of your, if you remember your junior high history classes or whatever, with all the different explorers that came over to the Americas, pick one of them that was actually, a lot of them were searching for gold or searching for the lost cities of gold. It's basically a cartoon version of what that was like if you added some kids into the mix.
Yeah, take the kids and the annoying monkey adult out and I'll be fine. Any other general memories on the plot or any other things you want to, like I already said, the first episode, I know why you like it for the exploration, but just setting up the whole point of Esteban's origin and then him getting to the ship to be able to go on the voyage. That very first episode, when the entire, I swear, go back and watch it on Netflix, people. The entire town in episode 1 is chasing this kid down the fucking alley. and it's like the entire town is abusing this kid. Make the sun come out! Make the sun come out! Come on, come on! It's like, it's peer pressure on like an entire town level. It's like, oh god, yes. But do you have any other thoughts on the overall stories, or
just kind of reiterate, to me at the time it just gave me it was unique. I wasn't watching a lot of anime, so it was anime, so it had that going for it. I was like, at the time, I'll give anything a chance there, so let's watch this. I'm not yet annoyed with the style. That doesn't happen for years later. That doesn't happen until Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon. Anyway, Dragon Ball Z is a great cartoon. I'm not trying to rip on it, but good lord. Anyway.
Oh lord.
How many people did I just piss off? So it was something unique with that. And like I said, it was just something about the adventure story. I've always been a sucker for like Indiana Jones type style adventure stories, searching for this mysterious thing that, may or may not exist, or people think's magical or something like that. So it had a cool like little continuity and story going for it. And for me, like I said, it wasn't something I was going to watch every day, but every once in a while it broke up, the other stuff I was watching, whether it be, transitioning from Transformers into, Thundercats or Silverhawks or whatever I was watching at the time. This just was a breath of fresh air and something different, and then I'd go back to my other stuff. Mm. So I appreciated the stories for what they were.
Yeah. For me, honestly, even when I was watching the episodes that I did actually watch without listening to them in the background, what grabbed me for this series wasn't even the story, it was the music. And I know earlier I ragged on the theme song, which I fully stand by my ragging on the theme song, because it does sound like an 80s version of In Suck. But the music overall, like the instrumental, the score that Saban and Levy put together, the background music, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. Just little nuances here and there. I thought the music in this cartoon was just amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
Especially the theme song.
No, minus the theme song.
Starting with the theme song and then translating into everything else.
Stopping with the theme song and translating into everything else.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of the different parts, it really makes up for the weird dubbing and all that other stuff. The musical background, the themes, the soundtracks type stuff, if you want to call it, was just really well done, and it brought a lot to the series. Otherwise, it would have been a little bit more bland and boring, I think.
In my research, it did not. Apparently, IGN hates the series because it didn't rank on their list. I don't think. Did it?
It's one of those that's often overlooked. A lot of people didn't catch it. Being in the early days of Nickelodeon, a lot of those shows, like I said, a lot of people don't know The Adventures of the Little Koala, The World of David and Gnome, Mysterious Cities of Gold. A lot of that stuff gets overlooked, and it's unfortunate because a lot of that stuff was really good, especially The Adventures of the Little Koala, which
we will be covering later on in the season. And yet another DeLorean time episode at some point.
And this one too, being anime, when anime wasn't mainstream or popular or anything in the U.S. at that time. There's a lot of reasons why people didn't catch this show, but those that did watch it liked it. I will say that much. I've never heard people say bad stuff about it. I've heard people say I don't know what it is, I never watched it, but every single person to a man that I've known that has watched this show has positive things to say about it.
Yeah. Besides me.
Besides you.
All right, so for some of the media stuff, it was released on VHS and DVD in France.
Nobody cares.
Let's see. Region 1 and Region... let's see here. September 15, 2007, Fabulous Films announced that it had acquired the license to release the series in Region 2, Europe, Region 1 and Region 4, although this has since lapsed and has not been renewed. All 39 unedited episodes of the series were released in the United Kingdom on June 23, 2008. As a 6 DVD set... Essentially, people, go over to Netflix or go over to Hulu. The entire 39 episodes are there. You don't need a DVD set for this show.
Yeah, you do.
You don't.
Interesting that there has been talks of a sequel. 3 new seasons of 26 episodes each were confirmed to be in production at one point. There's been delays, different stuff here and there. Apparently, new background music is supposed to be composed again by Noam Caniel, the guy that we were talking about earlier. Some of the same people that were producing and writing the show are supposed to be back on board for this.
Yes.
And it's supposed to be airing in September of this year. And
on
it says
TF1 in France.
Yeah, it says a trailer for the new season has been released at a festival. So, maybe not in the U.S., but apparently something is going on with this, even to the point where there might also be some type of feature film that was in the works at some point, although it seems like that has been scrapped.
Yeah, it looks like it's been scrapped.
But the point is that it is on life support as possibly coming back into the media at some point, whether it be in the sequel or a film or something.
Right. I think a sequel cartoon series could work.
Especially with the way, I'm not trying to give away anything, but with the way the series ended, it did leave it open for a sequel.
Okay, well, I don't know if I can watch the entire series. I don't know. Like I said, I'm 8.5 episodes in. 9.5 because I'm just starting episode 9. I don't know if I can watch all the 30 episodes, but I will say from what I have seen so far, and I know people are going to be like, oh, he didn't do his research, blah, blah, blah. I did more than enough to formulate an opinion on this show. Sure. It's not like I just watched one episode and said, fuck it. I will say that if they are working on a sequel series, I hope they do something like maybe Esteban's all grown up and, maybe he's still the child of the sun god or whatever else, maybe, find a way to take the original series and modernize it to today's treasure hunting aspect, kind of like, not necessarily a National Treasure thing, but like, that like I guess I could say this, the mysterious Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, or something like that, to where it's modernized, but it still has the feel of the old series. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my guess is it would pick up with them still being kids,
God,
and continuing searches elsewhere. But we'll see. We'll see what they do with it. As long as it has some type of classic feel, it should be fine. I don't think it's something that we're going to see a lot of in the U.S., but hey, it deserves its day in the sun. So if the French people get it, cool.
So nice. All right, so we are going to head to a commercial break.
I'm so good at what I do.
You're right. 2012 marks the 30th anniversary for Masters of the Universe. We here at the GCRN are celebrating with a brand new series of podcasts. The Powers of Grayskull series will cover every episode of every MOTU cartoon. Yes, even that crappy New Adventure stuff. Join Optimus Solo and TF2 Mike as they tell tales of Eternia, discover the myths of Etheria, become masters in space, and finally masters of Grayskull. You can find the Pogs podcasts in iTunes and the web at www.geekcastradio.com. Good journey!
Is this thing on? Oh, goody! Why, hello there. It's your dear old Uncle Joker here. I bet you're asking yourself, what could I be possibly doing here of all places? Well, I'm laughing at the fact that this new podcast presented by GeekCast Radio is called Legends of the Dark Knight. Who the heck knew the Bat was so popular? Ugh. Join Steve, Mike, and sometimes Tara for reviews on the greatest DC animated universe cartoon to ever meet Gotham City. So join moi for the talk of the town, or I'll send Captain Clown after you. He gets mighty angry when he doesn't get to have his garbage skull. So put on a nice big smile and join us for the next GeekCast Radio Network podcast, Legends of the Dark Knight.
Emerging from the dark humor that was the Beast Unleashed podcast, Steve Megatron, TFG1 Mike, Pecan Court Michael, and the Cybertronian correspondent Optimus Solo move on to Transformers Animated with Transformation Animation Podcast. 20 episodes covering all 3 seasons of the cartoon, the books, and the awesome toy line. We will also have cast and crew interviews, so get tapped with GCRN's next Transformers franchise podcast, Transformation Animation Podcast, available on iTunes and the web at www.geekcastradio.com. Get your tap on.
Decepticons, transform and rise up.
Hey, listeners. Animation aficionados will be recording a Slayers episode in late August or early September. Between now and then, we want you to send us a recording of yourself doing the Naga laugh. The most outrageous laugh or laughs will be played on the show. Send an MP3 of yourself to neil@animationaficionados.com.
For you, the listeners of ToonCast Beyond, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. Use audibletrial.com/geekcastradio. All right, so yeah, that's it for the first episode of the DeLorean Times for this season, episode 40.
Everyone can thank me for bringing such a great title to the DeLorean Time.
Right, yeah.
There's more to come, people.
Anyways, yeah. Any other final thoughts or anything else you want to say before I close the show out?
Yes, everyone should check out at least one episode of Mysterious Cities of Gold and see one of the earliest examples of classic anime cartoons from the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And listen to the theme song because it's epic. And comment on the website and let
Epic
Mike know.
80s insuck. That's what it is.
Let Mike know how great it is and how wrong he is.
You know what? In all honesty, probably after I edit this episode and put it up, I'm not gonna care either way about this show. It was never on my radar to begin with until you pointed it out, and I did do my due diligence for, being able to record this podcast, but it's probably not something I'm going to go back to.
That's unfortunate.
Anyway, thank you for joining us here on ToonCast Beyond. There's always get in contact with us, leave feedback for the show. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com. You can comment on each and every episode post. Leave the show's feedback in iTunes. Please do this. Follow us on Twitter. The show name there is ToonCast Beyond. You can also keep up with all the GCRN updates by following at Geekcast Radio. Mine is TFG and Mike. What is your Twitter that you rarely use nowadays?
Optimus Solo.
Become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Geekcast Radio Network. Call the voicemail line. Tell us the show you're leaving the message for and your name. 502-526-5821. If you're too lazy to do that, send us email.
Wow.
Feedback at geekcastradio.com. We hope you enjoyed this trip back in time here on ToonCast Beyond and wish you'll join us next time when we're returning to real time with, oh God, someone kill me now, Shark Tale. Lovely.
Is it Shark Week?
Well, the week that... No, wait.
It's terrible timing.
Yeah, no, don't do that. Damn it. For now, I am TFG and Mike with
The Optimus Solo.
Thank you for listening. Until next time.
You can now hear the GeekCast Radio Network while on the go with Stitcher Smart Radio. Stitcher is a free use and talk mobile app available for your smartphone. And when you download Stitcher to hear GeekCast Radio, you'll have a chance to win money. Downloading is quick and easy. Just find Stitcher in the App Store. During registration, hit the promo code box and enter GeekCast Radio, all one word, to get automatically entered to win $100. The latest episodes of the shows will be waiting for you in your favorites. You'll get access to lots of other amazing shows too. Always available to you on demand, no syncing. It's Stitcher Smart Radio. Don't forget to enter promo code GeekCast Radio when you register. Flawless.